I'm Nate, and I'm going to give you a hands-on demonstration of our Daises system. These pieces let you build a variety of focal points for your rooms, everything from multi-level cascading mystic altars to really long, elaborate throne rooms and anything in between. There's so much you can do with these things. Let's dive in and take a look. All right, first, let's look at the pieces in the Dais family. First off, these are all the standard paint. These are also available, so this is our standard paint. These are also available in our brand new Sinister paint scheme. So it's the exact same sculpt, just different paint scheme. And back in the Dungeon of Doom, we made a limited edition white marble paint scheme, which we no longer sell. But all the same geometry, same everything, just different color scheme. So this is the straight dais. This is the bread and butter of the family. It is 2 inches long. It's kind of got an odd height. It is about 18 millimeters high. It's the height such that 2 of these stacked on top of each other reach to exactly the height of a dungeon wall for doing multi-level elevation builds. And its depth is 1 step shy of 2 inches. So if you put it on a regular 2x2 floor, it's 1 step shy of the full 2-inch footprint in this direction. And that reason is so that if you stack 2 of them up, you stay on the grid while having the stair be continuous, because this one doesn't cover up the top stair. So you can do long continuous runs. You can go up as long as you want with a bunch of these. So they're hollow on the bottom. They don't have any magnet because they're generally built on top of other pieces. Oh, and it has stone texture all around on the outside. So you could expose the back if you want to. So that is the straight dais. All right, then this is the short, straight outside corner or convex corner. So it is designed to line up next to the straight or any of the other pieces. The stairs all line up. It has a 1x1 footprint on the top here, and it's the same thing. It's just shy of 2 inches, 1 step shy of 2 inches on either direction in the corner. Same thing, stone texture all the way around, hollow at the bottom. Then this is the short curved convex or short curved outside corner. This one is very similar footprint to this, has the same profile, so it lines up with all of the other pieces. It's got a sort of a cut. This is a 1 inch by 1 inch that's then cut in by the curve there. And the same thing, the steps, it stops 1 step's length short of 2 inches. And same thing, stone all the way around and on the bottom. This is the straight concave corner, the straight inside corner. It has a true 2x2 footprint except for this little tiny cutout here, and that's so it lines up with the stairs. So if you're doing something like this, it lines up perfectly because these are a little shine, and it keeps everything stays on the grid, nice and clean. Same thing, it has stone texture all the way around, 3 1-inch playable squares in the top and hollow on the bottom. Then we have the large curved corner. So we never made a medium, maybe one day, but this steps up. So it is just short of 4 inches on its base footprint. It's 1 step short of 4 inches. So got the same height. Got a lot of playable squares up top, bricks all the way around the side, and a hollow on the bottom. Then we have the dais platform. So this is a 2x2 platform. It's the same roughly 18 millimeter height, hollow on the bottom, bricks all the way around, and this lines up at the same height as the rest of these pieces. So you can use it for building big daises, or you can use it as a little standalone platform. Then we have the 2x1 dais platform. So this is just a half-size version of this. It's really good if you're doing multi-level steps builds, something like such. You can build stairs, keeps everything nice and clean and on the grid. And finally, we have this little guy is the stair jack. So it's exactly 3 steps. It is a 360 sculpt, so there's texture on all sides. The reason for that is you can invert it and put it on stairs and use it as a platform for your minis if you want to have minis fighting on the stairs, or you can use it as a platform to build something on like a pillar or decor and whatnot. And you do kind of have the option, you can slide it up or down step. It's not quite as stable, but it's designed to fit really perfectly in the middle of the steps. And of course, you can use it in the right setup configuration to make steps up to a platform. So it's same height, right? The steps are the same height as the rest of these steps. So it transitions really nicely up to a platform, up to the back of one of these. All right, so that is the family of pieces. Let's look at how you can build with these. All right, let's build with these daises and see how the pieces work. So very straightforward. We're going to start with some like central daises. So you can just we're taking the straight corners, you put 4 of them together, and boom, you get a dais. Now you have a focal point for the center of your room. It's a great place to put some treasure or maybe a mysterious lever, whichever you want. You can do the same exact thing using the curved pieces. Accomplishes the same thing with a different aesthetic. It's circle. You can extend, let's say we want a little more dais in our lives. We pop that out, take 2 of the straights, boom, boom, put those back to back. Now we have a nice thing. It's nice way we've got the curves. You're echoing these curves, kind of fills the space nicely. We can do the same thing again with the straights. Maybe we want to rotate this to fill the room this way, something like that. While we have a lot of straight area, if we want to break that up and make it a little more interesting, we can take our stair jacks, we can invert those, and we can put them on there somewhere so that becomes more playable space up there. Or you can use it to put some decor, right? You could put some pillars up there and then put your thing in between. Or maybe you want to slide it back. You put 4 in there. You can sort of make it as grand as you want. Once you have a central platform, it's up to you how you want to take advantage of it. We could also just skip the corners if we want. We could just take the central pieces, right? We can make a dais like that or like that, just a little raised area. We could make it into kind of a cross using more simple straights, similar, something like such. We could get rid of the steps altogether, just make it a raised platform like in a museum or something, right? So that's a good spot to put something interesting. Even do the same with 2 of the 1x2s or 1 1x2. Ow. Is that too much treasure to fit? See, that looks like kind of like a museum pedestal. If you wanted to, you could take those stair jacks again and make this into a little dais. Or something like this. Boom. A good spot for your throne. As such, you could go nuts and you could put 8 little stair jacks all the way around and make it a full raised platform. Something like that. We could also, we can get a little bigger, right? So let's keep the central bit and we're going to add forward. And all right, so we've taken a platform, put straights on all 4 sides, and then put corners in. Now we have about as big a dais as you'd want in a room this size, right? Looks pretty cool. We could come up here, boom, boom. Do the same thing with squares. This very conducive to doing fun stuff with the stair jacks, right? You could put them out for decorative effects, or maybe put some pillars on there. Boom. That you could even, if you want, you could make like interesting double steps for no apparent reason if you wanted. Although, you know what you could do with this guy? You could take this, if we wanted to pop this one out and put another platform there, you can do something like that. So it's flat on the front and then some stairs up. It makes it like a long runway. If you wanted to put, say, a throne here, like that. This is where you have to come approach the king or something, or you could shorten that up. Maybe it's just a 2x1 in there. Some such. We could also, while we're doing this, what if we got rid of the corners? We can do like a little cross dais, something that looks like that. This would be a neat spot to then put some pillars in the corners, decorate it up. Or we could use the corner fill pillars, right? It's just plain dungeon corner fill pillars. That gives a really kind of a neat look. There's some treasure in there. Maybe it's creating a magical field around it or something. So really kind of no wrong way. You just sort of put these things back to back and you can build out a variety of interesting shapes, and it draws everybody's attention to the center of the room. Now that was central daises. Let's look at some stuff up against the back wall here. So at the base level, we can just start with, all right, you can just put a little platform there. Like if you wanted to put a treasure chest or something, right? One little raised area, draw your attention to the back wall. Maybe that's not enough space, so you build it out there so you can put a little more treasure using that's a 2x1 platform. Or maybe you want to make it a little more grand. Let's do the something like put the throne back on there. Right now there's room for a mini there in the throne. You can put your pillars around. It looks pretty regal. You could also, you go sideways, just do a thing raised, right? Coming up to either side. You can do that with extended out. Something like that, make it a little more grand. So now you can put your throne on there, same bits. So like this. That looks very throne room-like, it's a modest dais. Gets enough to get the job done. You can do the same thing with the square fronts. Something like that. We could go a little wider, but we're going to run out of room here. So let's open these up because we're gonna try to fill in here. We're hitting the corners. So we're taking the diagonals out, put a couple of regular corners in there, and that would be a little more room to play with. So now we can do something like that. Have like a wider dais so you could put a couple of, if I had multiple treasure chests, right, you could put a couple of different things up along the wall, your trophy collection, something. We could kick it out a little further, so now we have some more space to work with. Let's do bump. Now that's a pretty cool, right? Big flat-backed platform. It's again just perfect for a throne, something like that. You can put your stair jacks out. Like maybe this is a little too much space. You want to get a little more honest. You can put the 2x1 there, slide this back, and let's get a couple of stair jacks. I'm going to put those. And see, oh no, wait, I'm off by one. I need two 2x1s. There we go. Now those steps all line up. So now you have a small little platform. And then the last thing you could do, so that's a variety of ways you can like throw stuff up against the wall. If you want to get a little more grand on this back wall, because that's generally right, the daises are sprucing everything up. Let's take the this grand arch wall and pop that in there, right? So that now we're kind of drawing the attention to this wall because we've got magnetic thing to put something, we've got some lights. Where you can make that even more grand by just putting a straight up against it and then putting something there. Or maybe this is the same, we're doing that same throne gag that we were doing before, but we're doing it on this grand arch wall. Do something like that. Now it's really drawing our attention here. Or here's another fun one we can do. Let's lift this whole thing up so it gets a little more, we're trying to make a bigger deal or make this more grand. So what we're going to do is we're going to taking two of the dais platforms and putting them under, there's like a subfloor here. And I'm going to put this back on top, right? So now that's raised up. But what's really cool is because we're one floor height plus one dais height, we've got one floor height here. If we put a dais in front, boom, that is the exact same height. It moves seamlessly. So this is a great spot. You can put your throne. You can do this kind of the same gag. Maybe the edges are hanging over just a little bit. Oh no, you can do. We put these guys on the sides that you want. Do something like that. You could also just use. You can just use the stair jacks. Make a little ledge, or maybe make a little vanity platform going out. Do something like that. It feeds you right up into the. There's something of that sort. You could go really wide with this. Boom. Or if we want, we'll go even further with it. We can take the same gag. Let's raise the whole back bit here. So we're going to put another platform. Other platforms, I'll use 2x1s. Boom, and we'll raise this whole back area, right? And we could even do the whole, if we had more pieces, we could raise this whole part of the room here. And then you can just put, if you want, you can put stair jacks up there, steps up, or maybe there's steps on either side, right? So you can't approach directly, you come up on the side, sort of like a stage. So in fact, this would make a really neat riddle, right? This could be the back of your tavern, it could be a little stage, put your performers up there and do a thing. And if you're in a pinch, let's say we wanted to raise this whole section up here and we didn't have any more platforms, you can just use the stairs, and something helps if you invert them. Bump, bump, bump. And if you're worried about them tipping, here's what we do. We put a stair jack underneath. Boom, holds you up. Stair jack underneath there. Stair jack underneath here. And then we can pave back over with our bars. Two things. Couple of floors here. So it's a little slidey because we don't have any anchor mags touching, which should work. And then you can do the same thing. So now this is a proper stage for you could have a performance there. And that doesn't use a ton of dais pieces. And of course you can also from here, you could pave out. Of course I use on my platform, but if you wanted to come out further, right, you could extend out and make a sort of a grand entryway or something over to this. Maybe we take a couple of these and you can do something like that. Right now, it's like now you can go back to, it feels more like a throne room thing again, do some situation like that, or you can, let's go further. This is going to be probably too big for this room to handle, but we could do something like that and like that. All right. So I think that covers what you can do with sort of some small daises. Let's go to a little bit larger room. We'll look at some cascading daises and maybe some double height ones. Boop. All right, so let's do some larger daises and some multi-tier daises. So we have a slightly larger room here. This is a full 12 by 12, so it gives us a little more space to play in. So let's start with some central, once again, central daises. We'll get our way into some cascading stuff against the wall first. So let's do multi-tier. So we're going to start with a base like this. We were just where we were sort of before, right? This was the standard. We have one straight, one corner, boom. So we have a little central dais. Now let's go up a second tier on that. So we're going to take 4 more these corners and just boom, stack right up there. Look how seamlessly you have yourself a cool little ziggurat style pyramid. And you can keep going. You can keep going up and up and up, right? We can add another layer, just add 1 more 2-inch segment in the middle, and then everything you can keep going up. So you can just go up until you run out of daises. And that makes a really like grand spot to put something pretty cool up there. All right, so we can do the same thing with the curved daises. They don't line up quite as pleasingly as the square because of the nature, the circumference of these circles. We're using the same circles on the outside. If we ever made a medium curve, then we could have them line up seamlessly. But you can do something like that, so then you have some exposed areas like there. And of course, you could also mix and match, right? So you could take the curved base and put the squares in there. The squares don't look as good on top, right? Because they're projecting out, but you could invert it, put the squares down the bottom, and then put the circle curves on top. So like this, and this. You could also, if you want to get, if you want to have some more interesting, like easily playable space, right? You can use the stair jacks to get your miniatures up on here, even on these curved guys. But if you want it to be a little more easily playable, you could use the large curves yet, right? We haven't seen those guys yet. So let's fly them in, right? So look at these guys. These are, got some big coverage quickly. So we got first, right out of the gate, we have a cool platform with a lot of playable space in the middle. And you can do anything, like you could put a small platform in the middle. Now you have a lot of easily playable space on the outside there, and you can put your thing in the middle. You could even just put a platform in there, put something on it, and it gets in a lot of playable space. Or you can do the same gigs before, where we open everything up by 2. It's going to overlap a little bit. It's not going to look fantastic, but you could do it if you wanted. What is our central iPhone? So you could do something like that. You could just build the base layer with even more platforms and go triple layer up like that. Let's pull these guys out of here. The other interesting central approach you could do is that sort of crisscross we were doing before, right? Before we had a thing that looked like this, and we're putting some pillars in the corner, right? Let's just go up. Let's go up one more level with this, right? So what we're going to do, we're going to take kicking that out. So kicking that out 1 inch in either direction, kicking this out 1 inch in either direction. Essentially, you want to always just go out 1 inch, and then your stairs will line up. So let's get these pillars out of the way. And that's where we center those on the squares. Boom, boom. And then we're going to build stairs like this. That. And then we're going to cover. So boom. 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 So now we have this really kind of neat raised cross. So this becomes interesting for combat. You've got to go a good 10-foot height here. So there's some pretty interesting potential for combat. And you could put pillars in there. These ones start looking small, right? You put them in there. They're not so big because they're the same height. Although good if you're trying to do multi-level building from here, you could use them to level something out. Let's try the big ancient pillars, right? So this is grand enough that we can call them the big guns. So now these guys make it look really grand. Look at that. Now that is a dais that's going to command a lot of attention. And if we want to go even further, we can do something fun. We could give it some more interesting multi-tier play. We could do this, but those guys in the corners. So now you could use this as like, you could have minis in different levels, or you could use that to then, let's put these at an angle. You could put those pillars in. Now these pillars feel like they could actually fit in the space, right? Because we've raised them up a little bit. Or if we want to get just really grandiose, we bring back our ancient pillars and put them up on these platforms. Now that is like, it's just a super majestic dais. All right, so that's an idea of the sorts of central daises you could do. And of course, you can do any of the stuff we were doing previously with the stair jacks. You could do any of that and any combination of things. You could take, right, we have an hour here. You could have this bit. You could just use this as is. You could put another central thing in there. That's a pretty looking thing. You could this out. If you really want to have just one central image, you could take 2x1s and surround your central platform with the 2x1s. And then use that as a platform, and then you could build up further from there if you want to. Boom. And any combination of the other stuff before, you could build these out. You could put corners in, you could put pillars up, yada yada. All right, so let's build some stuff against the back wall, because we have a lot of wall to work with here. So previously we were doing, right in the smaller room, we were just putting the stuff up and going. We have enough room to go pretty wide here, right? So we go 3 out like this. Rotate thing here. All right, and then we put so that's a pretty big, nice raised area to work with there. And if you wanted, you could go up we could go up one more level, right? So you could use this. If you could start building another dungeon floor. If you raised a floor up on stilts or on dungeon walls, you could build a floor out here and start building. And this could be like you could pull that all out, and this could be a grand staircase up to the next level. Or you could just use it as like put a throne there. You could use a passage wall in the back or something if you wanted to extend your wall up a little higher. Or while we're here, we could go a little larger. This, boom. We had this awkward little 1-inch space back here, so we can do a little trick where we kick this guy back out. One, put your stair jack there, boom. Now flip it out. Or we could fill the whole thing. Just go out 1 more inch. Boom, boom. Well, so it's the same as we were doing multi-level in the center. You can just keep going up from here, and all of your floors should line up, right? So we're gonna run out of dungeon to work with here, but right, we can keep going up as many levels as we want. Just the endless steps going up for eternity. We could also do this sort of cascading style dais, where it starts wide and it cascades out, and then it's sort of like a cascading waterfall going down. So let's do that, because that's exciting to look at. So we'll just start at the first layer and we'll work our way up. So if we had this bit, we would come on in here. Well, let's start with let's get it even narrower. Start at the smallest we could go. So we have 2 platforms in the back going up from here. We're going to remove the straights. I'm going to get our inside. So we haven't used these guys yet. They're the inside corners. So we're going to pop a pair of them in here. And then we're going to squares. We can just do a little thing like this. So now we cascade in like that. We could go further out, extend it out, something like that. Boom, cascading in. We do that same thing with the curves. If I could find where I hit the curves. Cascading down. You could also shorten it if you just wanted, right? I just want a little, something like that, right? This is a neat spot for a throne. Or we could go out 1. Let's do 1 inch. A couple of these guys back here. Stair jacks. So like this is the perfect size if you want to put a throne with a couple of pillars on either side. You could do that with something neat like that. So the cascade is very fun to work with. Let's go even wider, right? So we have the baseline. So we're going to let's kick the whole thing out. So we're going to open it up. Let's come out 2 inches. And then I'm going to open this thing up 2 inches. Boom. Go. And we have the cascading dais pack, which gives you the pieces to do a basic cascading dais, and you can mix and match it, obviously, with the rest of your straights and platforms to make even bigger ones, right? So now we have a really nice, large size one like that, and we can continue to move this thing out, or we could do another. What's fun is you have kind of the lower level, and then you have the upper level. So you put the throne here, and then another point of inches up there. So from here, let's go to square corners. And put the squares there. And then we're going to come up here. So you can start with just a small platform here. Right, that's just enough to put a throne up here, or maybe a throne and a couple of pillars overlooking that. Maybe we don't want 2 of these. We want to center one up. So let's do something like this. Put a 2x1 in there. And then if you want, you can swap out a platform for a pair of floors stacked on top of each other. It's not exactly, they're just a couple millimeters higher than this is alone, but it lets you put a neat specialty floor in there, right? So if we we have put a regular floor in there. We're going to put the trapdoor floor in, and then put the magic pool in. So that's just a little bit above, but it also kind of helps make it look grand. This also works really nicely with the LED floor, so we could put an LED element there. So now there's like the throne can stare at this thing that's sort of a magical point of interest. Let's extend it out. Let's extend this whole thing out another bit. And then we're going to do, so you know what, I'm going to center that guy there. Let's keep this as one interest. So I'm going to use 2x1s. The platform has the diamond pattern on it. So we're going to skip that to just make this kind of plain. So that's can continue to be kind of the point of interest out here on this platform. And then we're going to use stair jacks to put some some pillars in here to make it look like a grand entryway area pump. I'm going to slide these over. So we're starting to get a little too big for this room, but I need 2 more pillars. What am I going to do? Here, I will skip these 2. All right, so we have something like that. We can kind of extend as we go. If you get to a point where you realize that your dais is getting too big for the room right now, like we don't really have a sense of a back for the room. So what we could do is bring in the grand arch wall again, right? This thing always makes a really nice centerpiece, sort of focal point for a back wall. I like how it raises up and it's very aesthetically pleasing, draws your eye to things. So we're going to do the same gag we were doing in the smaller room. We're going to come on in here and what are we going to do? We're going to knock out this back wall. I mean, you could just slam it on there and forget the steps and just have it be a thing, but let's integrate it, make it feel like it is part of the scene. So what we're going to do, first things first, I am going to remove the back wall here. So we're going to take that whole thing out. And then we're going to put a couple of elevation blocks in here. So elevation blocks are the height of 2 of the dais pieces, right? So this is going to let us get everything up into the same height. It's going to work out really well. All right, so we're going to tear this all out. I'm going to do a little surgery on this back wall, and I'll show you what we're doing in a sec. Let's clear out some of this. Got a little riffraff of pieces here, hard to imagine. All right, so we're going to pull out our back walls. Together, we're going to put the regular walls there, no corner, regular floors, so we have no back wall. And we're going to slide passage walls underneath to form our back wall. All right, so what this is doing is it's giving us the full squares to work with because, and I don't need it in the back here because I'm going to put that big grand arch wall. Well, all right. All right, so I've put passage walls on the outside here, so now we have full squares to work with that lets us slide everything back, because I want to build up against these elevation blocks, because these elevation blocks are going to get everything to be at the right perfect height. So we're pushing back against the elevation blocks. Works. All right, that's going to be nicely. So now, from here, we're going to put, let's see, we want to build out this guy. So we're going to have stairs go here. Stairs go here. And then a couple of 2x1s. All right, so it may look like it may not look like there's a rhyme to this reason, but it all is going to make sense in just a moment. Okay, so now we have, this is flowing into here nicely. The height of elevation block plus a floor is the same as the height of 2 daises plus a floor. These daises are on the floor. This is serving as its own floor on top. So now when we put a dais up there, boom, everything lines up nice and neat. So what we're actually probably going to do is let's move this guy forward. All right, so our focal point's up there. Maybe we're going to put our other 2 pillars up here. Now we have a little spot for 4 pillars there. And let's make this a little bigger. Oh, we're going to run into these walls. And you know what? We have no more room to work with in this room. We're going to have to go to a bigger room. So this might be the cue to go to a large room. So we could do these little guys. We're going to put stair jacks here. We could put 1, 2, 3. We could put 4 stair jacks here. Do something like that. We could also, you could do this as it's a trick. It's not going to be perfect. All right, so this lines up like this. So these don't line up, right? So we're off by an inch. So what we're going to do is put some stair jacks back here. Put a stair jack over here. All right, so that lines up really nicely, except now we have overhang over here. So what we're going to do is we're going to extend everything out. Sorry, guys. Coming out. Slide that up. We're going to push our cascade up by 1. And the geometry on these, on the Daises sometimes gets a little tricky, but it's just sort of, you play around till you find the thing that feels like it's going to tell the story you want. It feels like the grand thing that you need to tell your story. So that works very nicely. Now let's move this. Let's see, we move these stair jacks. We could do something fun. We could put these here and put our pillars in the end like that. Bump, bump. Now we have a pretty grand throne room, and now it doesn't feel like our dais hasn't sort of outgrown our walls. This back arch is helping tie the whole room together and make it feel like it's a cohesive room rather than we've built up completely beyond the walls. All right, I think this kind of is as far as we can go with a room this size. Let's go a little larger and get a little crazier. Let's see how we can do some really wild multi-level builds. All right, so I have an even bigger room here, so we can explore some even bigger, crazier dais builds. So I pre-built a little something here, so we had a starting point. Just using all the same techniques that we did before. We're using the large daises up front. I've got some 2x1s here to give some interesting flat spots to break it up and put pillars on. We've gone to a second tier up here. In the back, we're cascading out in the back. I've done the same gag in the back here where I kicked out. I have passage walls back here, so everything can be pushed against the wall. And then we have down here, I've used a dais platform and then an elevation block. So we're basically 3 daises high and then the floor, which allows us over here, this is 2 daises high. We're running a platform out here, right? So it's just it's 2 1x2s and another platform to 1 more stairs. So we're up to a 3rd tier up here to really elevate this sort of throne area, right? So we're using the grand arch with a curtain on there to really kind of give it a throne room feel. And then same thing, pillars around the outside. So this feels pretty big, pretty grand. And it's just using all of the same building techniques that we were doing before. We didn't really look at using these guys. So the big curves work the same as the small. You can extend them in the same way. So we could, if we wanted, for instance, let's put this guy here. We could move these out a little bit, put a platform there. But, well, this right there and just sort of extend it out, do something like that. Oh my, what are you hitting? That if we wanted to give ourselves a little more room, and maybe we would even kick this. We could kick this out. Oh, so we got 1 more. Boom. Gives us a little more breathing room between the center area and the main throne area. And we could even, if we wanted to, let's put 2 more stair jacks over here. And give ourselves 2 more pillars at the end, something like that. I don't know, the spacing on the pillars is a little questionable, although I guess we could, let's put move these guys up. There we go. And we got 6 pillars there. So do something like that. So quickly, before we do any more building changes, I just want to show you can use this the basic same geometry, same dais building geometry is useful for a variety of situations. So this is kind of like a royal regal throne room. if we change out the decor, we can change the whole vibe of this thing quite quickly, right? So we're going to I'm swapping the wall for speed, but if this were just, imagine we changed and put an ossuary nook there instead of the magnetic tapestry, put some of the rune claws there. Let's move these guys down. And we'll put a couple of arch walls there with nook ossuaries, right? So we got some bone things going on over here. We'll pull out our pillars, replace those with some screaming skeletons. And I maybe come out like that. Boom. These guys here. Maybe we'll pull. Let's do 2 there and there. And we'll pull these guys out. Jump. Replace our throne with the big necro throne. And then you know what we'll do? Let's change the lights too. Put a couple of serpents on there. Okay, so changing the position of those, put in some skeletons, turn your face straight, and then let's put in the central spot. We're going to put in altar there, black altar, and put some bones around it, right? So now it's basically the same geometry. Now it's a little more sinister. And if we wanted to like sinister it up even more, let's change the front here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually reverse. Let's back this up a little bit, give ourselves a little more room up front. We're going to pull these guys out. These Daises. So we're going to use, so we can taking 2 of the concave corners, 2 curves there. You know, we could terminate this in a little thing like that. It's not quite as grand. But what I want to do is I'm taking the 2 ends here. I'm going to use the sacrificial pit. This was from the Forsaken Temple, but it's the exact same geometry as the Daises, so it lines up nice and neat. So we could put that out front, and it has a fun little trapdoor gag. If we wanted to build this in, we could remove the floors beneath so we could have it fall even further down. But right now, if we're just building around, we won't make a big pit out of it. But now we have a kind of a cool ornamental area and brings up to the thing. Or maybe we put the altar and do something like that. And then that's where maybe they throw the people down into the pit after they sacrifice them on the altar or something. But anyway, so basically the same fundamental geometry. Change the pieces really changes the look. We can further. Let's go a little more magical, right? So right now we've got sinister. Let's just go sort of mystical. So we're gonna do the same trick where we take a single floor, and we're taking our LED floor, putting in there. We have the chromatic orbs, scintillating orb, changing colors there, and let's face it with some gargoyle pillars. So we're going to pull these guys out. Take these guys here. We'll make it on all 4 corners. Feels like they're sending energy to it or whatever. We're going to put these pillars here and then put our savage gargoyles up there. Boom, 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 and have them all facing. Like that. And maybe we'll pop these guys back out. Take guys back here. And we take you out. Yeah, now it feels a little more mystical. Let's push it even further. What we're going to do is we're going to take this guy out. And we're going to extend. We got this. We're going to use this piece doesn't even formally have a name yet as the time of this recording. It's a special effects pedestal. It's a prototype, so it's casting some resin. So it's not actual Dwarven. It takes a light puck in here or a fogger. The lid's removable. We're going to just use it as a piece of elevation because it's elevation height, and it lines up really nice. You know, we're running out of room here. We're going to take the door out. I need to put some floors down there. Yeah. I had 2 floors. All right, we're just gonna have to pretend this room goes on forever. So we're doing a multi-tier thing. So I'm just gonna put stairs going up this way. I could just put a little stair jack going to it like that, but I think I want the big wide. Like let's really feed into it, and then maybe we could do on the sides. We're gonna take stairs on either side like that. And like that. and then we can pop this here, a couple of stair jacks. All right, so now we put maybe there, we put put a magic crystal over here, and then we'd probably want some sort of magic MacGuffin over here, right? And then this becomes like a 3-part magic-y thing. But once again, generally the same, we're playing with generally the same geometry. We put this thing in there without the little altar there without the skeleton on top. All right, so this has a really cool look to it. One other final little trick we can do is you don't always just have to use the daises on the ground. So this is a trick one of our backers came up with that I think is really grand. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some elevation blocks here. I'm going to double stack elevation blocks behind our build just to have something to work with. Bump, bump, bump. So we're taking 2 elevation blocks and we're going to stack them behind the build here. That. Here's something to work on. Then we're going to take a pair of the large daises and we're just going to place them behind like that. And now we have this really grand facade in the back that really kind of draws your eye, makes the room feel really big and huge. So there's a lot of fun things you can do by flipping daises on their side. In fact, we could take a couple of ways. If we want to do the same gag, we could take a couple here, do something like that. Use them as kind of like an Art Deco-y thing, right? We can use them to dress up any exposed areas and have these cool flowing lines. And now the thing feels like a really mystical, magical room. All right, so with that in place, we now have a nice rounded look. Everything has kind of cool curves every which way. Although maybe we should, let's spruce up the front here. One final. We'll take the lid out and let's put our bladed ziggurat in there. So prototype's a little tight to fit. So we have the little platform there so you could do your rites and throw baggers in there. Maybe we need to just open this up just a shpickle. So we have this room. Who knew this room wasn't going to be big enough? That's the right idea. Get a couple corners, get a door. So we have just enough room to let the players in to their imminent demise. All right, so hopefully this will give you an idea of some of the many ways you can play. Oh, you know what? Wait, we got to get this line. They're nice and clean so we can feed right up to the platform. All right, so hopefully this will give you an idea of some of the many ways you can build with all of these dais pieces. So many fun different ways you can combine them. And whatever you do, you're going to end up with some really interesting points of interest, things that would draw the player's eye, and some interesting elevation that can make your combat more dynamic. And that's an overview of some of the many, many, many things you can do with this Dais system. For other tips and tricks, check out our Dungeons playlist. And if you enjoyed this video, please hit like and think about subscribing so you don't miss out on any of our other quality content. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope this inspires you to get building with Daises. And now, it's back to the anvil.